Hello, welcome to MathLink. I am Mr. C, and we're going to cover Unit 1, which talks about whole numbers, place values, and rounding. So let's get started. Unit 1, whole numbers. The value of any digit depends on its place value. Place value is based on multiples of 10 as follows. We have this number, and I want to talk about the place value of this number, of these numbers. So where the 2 is, it's known to be in the ones place. The 3 is known to be in the tens place. The 9 is known to be in the hundredth place. And then the 8 is known to be in the thousands place. Notice there's a comma between the 8 and the 9, which tells us that every 3 we group ones, tens, hundreds, comma, then we start with a new group, which is thousands, and then it repeats the same cycle. The 7 is going to be the 10,000s. The 6 is going to be the 100,000s. And then that last number, which we have a comma and a 2, it's going to be the millions. After the millions, we're going to repeat the same cycle. We're going to have 10 million. And then also we're going to have 100 million. And then we have a comma, and after a million is a billion. Then we repeat the cycle again. Then we have 10 billion and 100 billion. And so the cycle repeats over and over again. Again, we start with 1, tens, and hundreds. Those are our place value for our numbers. Let's look at this number here. It's 382, and it can be written in, as we expand it, as 300 plus 8 tens plus 2 ones. Again, notice the place values of what we have here. We have the 2 being in the ones, the 8 being in the tens, and the 3 being in the hundreds. And so how we can look at this, we can actually look at this number 382 as, and it's, notice our PowerPoint is missing some parentheses, but it's okay. We could look at it like this. We could say 3 times 100 plus 8 times 10 plus, and we're grouping this together, 2 times 1. And that would give us 382. Now let's look at rounding numbers. So using to make estimates, rounding numbers is using to make estimates. Determine place value, what we just went over, to which the number is to be rounded. Look at the digit immediately to its right. So we want to look at that digit to the right, and then we round. There is a rule for rounding. If the digit to the right is less than 5, strictly less than 5, 1, 2, 3, or 4, replace that digit and all the following digits with 0. If the digit is to the right is 5 or more, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, we add 1 to the digit in the place to which you are rounding. Replace all following digits with zeros. So let's look at some examples of what we're talking about. So we want to round 612 to the nearest 100. So what we need to do is know where we want to round. I'm going to write on here. So we got 612, and this 6 is the 100th place. And so we want to round up. either that 6 is going to remain a 6, or we're going to add 1 and it's going to change to a 7. But it all depends upon the immediate number to the right. So let's look at our immediate number to the right, which is a 1. Since that 1 is less than 5, then that 6 will stay at 6. That's in the 100th place. And everything else under it, the 10s and the 1s will become zeros. So the rounding of this will be 600. Okay? Again, it's because of this value here. We're rounding to the 100th. That's the 6. But we must look at the digit to the right, which is that 1, and see if that 1 value or whatever value to the right is less than 5. If it is, we'll just say 6 and then 0, 0, which is 600. Let's clear this and look at some other numbers that we can look at too, guys. And so our PowerPoint will show us different values we can have for what we need to do. So you can get these particular examples from our resources in MathLink with our PowerPoint. Let's look at another number. Let's round 175,890 to the nearest 10,000s. So what we need to do is find the place value of 10,000. Now we know that the 0 for that number is the 1, the 9 is the 10, the 8 will be the 100th, the 5 will be the 1,000, and the 7 will be the 10,000. So we're going to focus on that one, the 7. And then we're going to also look at that value to the right, which is 5. Using our rule, if the number is less than 5, we leave that 7 as a 7. If it's 5 or greater, then that 7 will become an 8. So when we want to round this to the nearest 10,000, we got to know the place value, and the 7 is holding the 10,000. And so our answer in this case would be 108, 0, 0, 0, 0. So we're looking at 180,000 as our answer to this problem, which is a little different than the earlier one that we did here. Again, you can get the PowerPoint for rounding for MathLink, and they'll also give you the answer. And so look at this, our PowerPoint did it correctly, which is 180,000, and that's what would be the answer if we round that number to the nearest 10,000. So one of the things we like to do here at MathLink is use our whiteboard to look at other examples to see if we caught the lesson that's been taught. In this case is rounding. And for knowing rounding, we must know place value. So let's write a number down, 7,584. So we're going to write down a number for you to see, and it's going to come on the screen in this case, 7,584. And so let's decide where we want to round, and let's use a place value. Let's say we want to round to the nearest 100. So let's round to the nearest 100. And for right now, I'm going to write down what we're rounding to, so we know where we're going to round. And so the value that's going to have the 100th position is the 5. And so as I'm writing this in green, I'm going to convert back to black to give you our answer for the 100. Since the 5 is what we're looking at, we have to look at the number to the right, and to the right it is an 8. And that 8 is greater than 5. And so that means we're going to round that 5 that's in the hundred position to the number 6. And so to round this would be 7,006, and everything else becomes 0, 0, 0. So rounding this number to the nearest hundred, it will be 7,600. Let's do another one. Let's round to the nearest 10. So in this case, we have to find what is our value, so for 10. So as I erase this, let's look what number has the place value for 10. In this case, it will be 8. And as we look at 8, now we got to look immediately to the right, which is the number 4, to see if we're going to leave it as an 8 or round it up to the next value. In this case, since 4 is less than 5, our answer would be 7,500. That doesn't change. And the 8 will remain the same, and then it'd be 0. So our answer would be 7,580 as a rounding to the nearest 10. Let's look at another example as we're looking at our whiteboard. Let's look at this here. Let's write this number. And notice I'm going to change up a little bit, make it a little larger for us to see so we understand our place value. In this case, let's round to the nearest 10 thousands. So let's look at our place value. Here's our ones, here's our tens, here's our hundreds, here's our thousands, and the 8 will be our 10,000s. So in this case, we're going to look at the value 8 and see what we're going to do here. So for the value 8, we're going to look at the number immediately to the right of it, which is a 1. And since it's less than 5, strictly less than 5, our rounding would be 2. In this case, it's 2,380,000. And that'll be good if it's a chunk of change as far as money. But in this case, we'll figure out what the unit is later. Let's look at one more. Let's round this number off. We say 9,851. So 9,851. Let's round that off to the nearest 1,000. In this case, we're going to look at where the thousands place is located. The 9 represent the 1,000 place. That means we need to look immediately to the right of that, which is the 8, and see what we do with that 9. Now, this one is unique. Look at this. Since that 8 right here is greater than 5, we're going to move that 9 one more digit up, which it becomes 10. So we need to understand we can have 10s and carry it over to the next place value. So our answer here will be 10, 0, 0, 0, 0. So in this case, our answer would be 10,000 because that 9 will change to be a 10. And so that would be our answer if we round this to the nearest 1,000. So that'll be our lesson here today, where we're talking about place value and also rounding numbers once we know the place value. If you have any questions, feel free to use any other resources that we have on our website, or again, review this video again to get a better understanding. Thank you.